Some of these people I think shouldn't even have a license, but you know. And he's a white dude, I guess. He's just some dude. It's what he said. I mean, you can have your opinion. I have my opinions. However, he works in this field, and it's sort of like, he's like, I would force XYZ. It's like, yeah, you're all rapists. I mean, you force yourself on everybody. I mean, I don't think that that's the way to approach this. I was just trying to make clear on my Instagram, like, I don't know what the hell she's going on about. So I was like making sure that, you know, I don't know, because everybody attacks her, that I wasn't talking about her, but nobody may have thought that. It was just I was reading something and I was like, yeah, I hope not, but okay. I don't know. I just put it out there just in case, but so they keep going on in this thing about how she keeps overspending and doing this stuff. I'm like, you know what? Guess what? That's her fucking money. Men have a hard time with this. It's like men can blow their fucking money up their nose and do all kinds of crap and buy Ferraris and do all this shit and lose it really quick, right? Do we go on this thing about we need to control men because they're a bunch of psychotics? Yeah. And that hasn't been a topic, right? No. Oh no, they can go do that kind of crap and nobody has this big old thing about it. Anyway, she's very angry, dude. These are not good pictures of her. She's very, very angry. Um, this is kind of interesting because, like, some of the things she says is legit. Like, so I was looking at something and I was just kind of pondering on it and I was like, okay, yeah. So if you're talking about like PTSD, she has a lot of stuff. I don't know everything that she has. It goes up and beyond like your typical, like if you had PTSD, it's like, no, she completely other stuff. Okay. So, but when they're talking about abuse, yes. Okay. So this guy wants to re-abuse her and force stuff on her. And that's not, again, that's not the way you should approach this. The way that they've been dealing with medicine, mostly with women, has been atrocious, and I don't want to hear another white guy tell us anything. Why don't we lock you up, Jude? I was like, I think you're psychotic. I think we need to force something down your throat. And shut up. Okay, but here's the thing. I found this old article that was like really bad of her mom. Okay, and I found it earlier, much earlier, and I was like, yeah, I mean, basically her mom was like glorifying, like she got raped and then it would make her popular, like this whole thing about it. And I was like, what? So this is 2008, and at the time in 2008, you could literally write some adult man on some kid and it's the girl's problem, and it's not rape, it's not being a pedo, it's not being any of these things. And I was like, yeah, it was a very lone world right there, because I remember 2008 very well when I was getting targeted up the ass. So I go on these like rants about it, but I'm not like her, or she's like, I'm gonna go out and like, you know, knock people out, and you know, it's like that level. However, there's some similarity with people with PTSD where you could bring up something and it triggers them, right? And it's very upsetting, and that's why they put trigger warning, right? So with her, it's exceeding to, you know what, it's reminding me of the the guy that was like a serial killer, right? And he, they showed him on Oxygen. I keep watching that damn channel because I have no other choice. And they brought up, not that she's going to be a serial killer, but they brought up something about saying women, you know, oh, this woman hit him and he triggered and he got absolutely pissed off. I mean, pissed off. And then when he gets like that, this is when he goes and he commits crimes, right? He'll go and kill women or whatever. So Britney has this type of thing where it triggers and she goes, woo! And it's like, holy shit. Yeah, it's like, holy shit. And you can see it in her demeanor. Like I said, I never seen her like that before. Because you could literally pull up these pictures. Okay, so here she just going on like that. Okay, she wants to be Miss Devil. Okay. Like this here is not hurting anybody, but you know, whatever. But I don't know if they show another picture of her. Where is she? Oh yeah, like that. Look at her face. Totally different, right? And so here, I mean, obviously she's on meds and stuff, but the thing is that that's a world of difference between like it's like me on an off day. No, if I didn't get enough sleep, man, I'm like, somebody's screwing with me. Yeah, no, but the truth is she has like legitimate things that are triggering her. I mean, literally triggering her. And she's overly sensitive. She might be, I don't know. There's a lot of things because a lot of people are attacking her and stuff like that. I'm just listening. I'm just like, okay, let me see. What is she upset about? And she's going on. And it's like, yeah, okay. So here's the thing I do agree with. Okay, the childhood abuse. Oh, Lordy. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Yes. Yes. And it does a lot of damages. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. Like, what did her mom do here? That's crazy. I can't imagine my mom promoting me to be with an adult guy. Like, what? I don't know. She might have, but I wasn't with her long enough to have that happen. So I was removed from her at age 12 or so, because she was psychotic. And I was like, I just can't imagine this thing. But then to the addition of it was putting it to the public. It's like, oh, my daughter was having sex at like this age, and technically she's just a victim of it. But the way she'll view it as an adult is like consensual because the way her mom is. So it was a thing like that. And I go, the thing that's so important to look at these cases is not look at Britney right now. Like it's giving you the outcome of whatever happened there, but to kind of pay attention to the earliest portions that you can. And sometimes you can't get the full thing out of her because, well, number one, she may not really realize like what it actually is that's bothering her. And then two, realizing that because of the severity of whatever happened or any other genetic things that are going on, whatever the case may be, that she needs to have meds to keep that controlled. But she's pretty smart. I know people continually with her, they like to say she's dumb and stuff, but she knows what she's doing. That's another thing about this. I go, no, she knows what's going on. She is doing things to be like F you, and that's basically her thing. Again, but at the end of the day, if somebody wants to blow their money, it's hers to blow, and sometimes people have to hit a rock bottom. And so and it's her choice. It's her choice. She knows it's her choice. Do you think she's that out there that she don't know it's her choice? She knows her choice. She's gonna this is her choice right now. So she could sit there. You need to talk to her like she's your good friend. If she was your good friend, how would you talk to her? I mean, are you going to be sitting there saying all these other things? I'm going to force feed you drugs. Okay, do you think that that's going to get her to do anything? I'm just saying it's not going to get her to want to do anything because it's not a choice of hers, and her problem is people doing things against her will. And that's a tricky area right there. So, yeah, and I don't want to promote that because then once you start promoting that again, we're going to end up in the past history, right, of these white men wanting to do this kind of shit and do things against women's will and all this crap. So we're seeing it. The thing is, if she does something that's a harm to self or others, and that's always a legal case to be able to then step in, okay? If she's doing things that she's just making very bad choices, that's freedom, right? Like you have the right to make bad choices. But if these choices are harming other people, or herself, like legitimately, like she's getting raped up in here or, some type of thing that's something, you know what I mean? That's the time to step in. But TMZ wants to do this promotion of, she needs a new conservatorship and a ton of meds, says this Dr. Charlie. She's out of control. And we got the famed Hollywood psychiatrist, oh God, where he offered up his professional opinion on Britney's situation, this as she appears to be unraveling at the seams, and her finances in shambles as she continues to spend excessively. But I'm just saying, how many guys out here have done that? I could literally go on this long list because it was one of the earlier things when I got in the industry that some people were talking about how all these men do this shit. All these rock star men do this. Are we doing this hella focus on those assholes? No. We praise those guys like somehow that's the coolest thing on earth. Blow all your fucking money and rape the fucking planet. And at no time did anybody say we should lock them up. I mean, I am. I was like, because technically those people did legitimately harm other people. Anyway, she claims that she was reading a lot of things on, child abuse. Okay. So we want to take a listen to Dr. Sophie. No, thank you. He thinks Britney requires at this point, from his point of view, he believes a second round of a court-ordered conservatorship might be what's best. Oh, no. You know what? Because she has a tendency to get violent. She does. We could have a Menendez situation here. Okay, so the thing is, she needs a lot of help. She also needs some better friends. Her friends are toxic shit. Okay, so let me tell you, the people that have been around her have been atrocious. Her mom is atrocious for sure. If that whole story was true, I was reading it and I just like, I have this moment of just like, we need perspective here, because in the story that they put in Daily Mail, it didn't touch on the earlier portions where you would need to know, which led her into this other half, right, in their teen years. So you need the earlier portion to really get to this thing. And it's a lot of she needs to do a lot of inner healing work. Okay, so, and that's, it takes a lot, she has to choose to do it, right? Because any of us that have been through child abuse or anything like that, you have to basically make the choice of, okay, I don't want to act like I don't want to, respond to this thing, and I can also cut everybody out. Yeah, so she has the right to cut everybody out. I think it's the worst thing to force people that she perceives abused her, which, I mean, from what I read in that little thing, I would definitely say, yes, they did abuse her in this way. But that you wouldn't want to force people who are her perpetrators, and you have to also look at it from her perception. So even if you didn't think her perception was correct, her perception of reality is that. And so that is the worst thing you could ever do to somebody like this. It just is, and it'll make the trauma worse, because it's just, you're re-traumatizing what they already perceive to be true, and that's not proper. And so then him sitting there saying we're going to force all this stuff just gets him to push away. It just is that thing. You have to get them to a level where they want to do something. That's a thing, and that's hard, right? That's very hard. It's easy to go grab people and rape them against their will and do all these things against their will. But the thing is, the trick is, not even a trick. It's just to get her to want to cool her shit down. Cool her shit down. And work through that thing right there, because there, like I said, there are some legitimate things where it's triggering her to hell. I think most victims could relate to that little aspect there of things. Mostly if you've been in any situation of child abuse, trauma, any rapes, sexual assaults, anything, those triggers. It's just trigger all day, but she gets so angry. I mean, beyond the level of I'm pissed off because these people did that. I mean, it's just to the level of you can't cool it down. I think women in domestic violence situations, or if you're a guy that had this psychotic woman that just went, this thing, that it's like this level, and all of a sudden this monster comes out and they don't come down. Like it's this other thing, versus like two people can be mad at each other and kind of go at it, but they're not going to typically go kill each other. But you'll see these other people that always make the media because they go and harm somebody and do these things. Same level of, things here, but it's like she never regulates. I guess that's, you could say regulates, because it's normal for us to get angry. It's normal for us to be angry that something happened, but it's like it goes up and beyond this level of things, right? And I do a lot of writing. Like when I'm writing, I always do feeling things because it's part of the creative process, but it's also very therapeutic, as any, like, even professional writers will say. It's like you kind of learn the story as you go, but the freeing thing about just letting your emotions out on the writing thing. But you don't see me. So here's the difference. You don't see me running around, doing this shit and, blowing all this and doing all that. and then self-harming, and then, doing this thing, you don't see that. So I self-regulate in this way. She's not doing good. Okay, so that's my opinion on it. And then you need to be extra caring with her, because she's very on guard, like this thing, okay? Yeah, so he also says it appears to him Brittany isn't on her meds. She probably isn't. She doesn't, I don't know if she don't want to do 'em. Like, I don't know. She don't want to do them. And he said that he'd force these drugs into her system whether she liked it or not. See, I don't agree with that, and I think that's the worst thing you could tell her, and she's going to give you a middle finger and say fuck you. We already see what she's doing. She's going to say F you, and I could do whatever the hell I want, and it's America, freedom, right? She could be as crazy as she wants, as long as she don't hurt anybody else. But if she does, she sets herself up, and she has to make that choice to try to sit down and work through that shit. And I think a lot of people are not listening to her. That's another thing. She needs somebody to listen to her and validate her experiences that happen, because the general population doesn't care. I mean, they really don't. Maybe even some of her fans. I think to the level, her fans are always like, protect her, but I don't think they're quite listening. And not everything she says, maybe, her perspective may be off, so you need to help her get the proper perspective, right? It's like those things. It might sound like a fiery hot take, but he explains that he generally thinks this is the best route for her right now. Oh, I'm glad some white guy did. Okay. Because in his opinion, she's on a path towards self-destruction, and the time bomb is going to go off sooner than later, which may become messy. I was so frustrated yesterday. I was like typing, and I was like, oh my God, my vision is all blurry and shit. I think what's happened, I don't know. They haven't figured out what's wrong. It could just be old age. I was like, it could be old age. But I also have a migraine issue, and it may have changed a little bit in how things are going on. So I don't know. It's so frustrating, man. It's just like, what else can go wrong here? I was like, yeah, I was so frustrated. I type, and it's just I hope you feel the frustration. That's a good writer gets their feelings across. Of course, hearing this might rile up the Free Britney crowd who were out in Fort. No, I'm annoyed by white men who just like fucking think out of their ass, and everything they want to do is anti-agency, and they're anti-freedom, they're anti-choices. But men could act like a bunch of psychotics throughout history and be a bunch of lunatics, and none of them get locked up. Alec Baldwin, for one, that's insane. But nobody did this focus thing. Like, we need to throw him on some meds and like get him into a conservatorship. Like, literally no one said this. And he does the same thing, right? He gets mad and he starts swinging at everybody, and it's relatively the same thing. Why is it different when they view a woman like that? But did she kill anybody? Okay, well, I hope she doesn't, but Alec did eventually, right? Because he's that reckless, and he was never thrown into anything. So it's just ridiculous. Okay, so the good doctor tells us, I wouldn't call him the good doctor. He's just some fucking quack out here going on. Okay, so he tells us a judge should look at what's best for her, and which he says is legal apparatus around her to keep her behavior in check. A judge has no fucking place to do that unless she harms somebody. A judge can't sit there and do that. So you would be having to say that it's illegal for a girl to like video herself and dance around and, want to seem all creepy and scary. I mean, let's look at this other guy that I had to be around growing up. That apparently was legal and fine. He committed himself, though. I was like, yeah, without getting into all that. So technically, all those things that she's doing and spending and doing all those things is legal. You may not approve of it. It may not be good for them, but it's legal. So if a judge starts doing that, then they could just lock us all up. And they're like, we don't approve of the way you act. So we're going to throw you in prison. The time that you have to get her, I mean, the time that you would have a legal right to do anything is if she's going out, punching people out, swinging shit, being violent, things of that nature. If she's caught with drugs, yes, they could throw her in a program. The typical thing of anybody else, you know? Now, that isn't a promotion to her to go do those things. It's just that is legal. And so a judge, how is a judge going to do that? I mean, but this guy's a professional. See, I don't like this field because I disagree. Well, how they diagnose mostly, okay, so men apparently are totally sane and fine when they're straight up sociopaths. It's just a little depression. Okay, so then we have this over here, and I go through so many cases, these cases of some very extreme socios. She hasn't fallen into that yet. But if she starts going there, then yeah. But I mean, she's 40 something years old, so you know, this is her choices. This is her choices. This is her choices. It shouldn't. I think where they went wrong here, in perspective, is at the beginning. At the beginning when this was going haywire. I just think that they're lazy and they didn't know how to approach this properly, and I think it did in turn cause more trauma. And the thing in this stuff is you don't want to cause more trauma because then they won't get help for themselves. But again, at the same time, you have to let some people fall, but not everybody is in that position. Some people are legitimately getting massively abused and all this. And nuance. Okay, anyway. She worked for that money. That's hers. It's hers to do whatever the hell she wants with. End of story. If she blows it all and she ends up with a shopping cart, that's her own damn fault, isn't it? And then maybe at that point, she's going to go get help. And if she doesn't, and she does something and puts her in a situation where they're going to force her, then that's where she fell. So, but I'm not into this force anything, because if we start being pro-force, then we're pro-rape. And we need to get out of this mindset of white men and slavery. So, whatever she wants to do, you need to talk to her like an adult. Don't treat her like a kid. I think that's another problem in this too. It's like, she's a damn adult. Talk to her like an adult. Talk to her like you would any other friend. It's like, dude, you're acting like an asshole. Brittany needs some good friends. She really does. Honest to God. The people, she has bad choices. Well, her choices are really thought out. Like, when you think about why she chooses who she does. And it's not good. Because she should want better for herself. It's not about us, because I don't have to live with those people. Better for herself. And to get people that actually legitimately care for her. But she's not going to get that because she has a lot of problems, right? Because she doesn't really care. If she cared for herself, if Britney cared for herself, she would choose other people that cared for her. And there's a lot of self-esteem issues with her as well, I've noticed. And it's a pretty common thing across the board. Oh, the self-esteem issue, her mom, what the hell? I thought this would make her popular, being with some sexual predator hunter at like 14. So, like, it would need a guy to validate her to become popular and liked from the public, right? This is all fucked up. This is really fucked up. This thing right here. So she, yeah, and then she started doing that diet thing. I'm like, girl, you look fine. Like, is there something where she's looking at something she thinks she looks terrible? I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to tell her, you're beautiful, you look fine, you don't, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, she has self-esteem problems, And that probably also comes from being in this industry to begin with, because everything's all about your looks, all about this, and you're only worth as much, this thing. Yeah, and I've been talking about that too, mostly when you talk about food shit. And there's still famous celebrity like Sharon Osbourne, hot mess, dude. She like it's crazy to me because she didn't like the way she looked when how she was born. Then she gets all this work done, right? And she actually looked pretty decent. I mean, her work wasn't like way over the top, but she's had a lot of work done, And then at a point, she just looked good. I mean, I thought she looked good, and I was like, why would you mess with that? Anyway, so it's never good enough, right? And then she continually is morphing, and then she's a hot mess, right? It's a self-esteem issue. There's a lot of inner things going on there. And I was talking about how crazy it is, because if I continually look at other people, even just for a few minutes, you can get this total body dysmorphia just within a few minutes if you see too much plastic, like literally, because you'll think, oh, that's normal, because you see everybody looking like this, and then you'll look in the mirror and you haven't had anything done. You go, oh God, man, my lips look really small, right? It starts doing this thing. And I think it happens to the best of us, like anybody, really, if you keep looking at things like that, because you're looking at what's normal and what's not normal, and they're making something abnormal be normal. And then you feel that you need to, match up to that thing there. And then you have to match up to it in order for somebody to like you. I was like, I hope not. I hope they just hate me for me. No, but this is that thing. I know, and then they have Diddy. The downfall of Diddy should have been freaking locked up too. Like, what the hell? But we don't sit there and talk about it. Holy shit, somebody did this like video. I mean, this thing on Instagram. It was actually hilarious. Where they had Jay-Z on the side, and then Diddy's in the middle talking, and then there's some dude, I don't know who he is. He's like behind him, and he's kind of like looking down, like he's almost like, I'm totally bored. I'm just gonna act like I'm listening to Diddy, but he just keeps going on, and he kind of looks down. And Jay-Z's looking out, and they start playing that. I always feel like someone's watching me, like he's like out into outer space. And Diddy is like cracked out, like his eyes, he's bug eyes, and he's talking, and he's the smartest guy in the room, and everybody's just standing around like they're in a cult. And they're just like listening to him. Like, we have to listen to him because he knows everything, all this. But you could tell everybody's just like, anyways. It's kind of like this thing. It was funnier than hell, though, actually. I don't know, but his eyes are whack the hell. He's another one. He's another one, guys. No, see, here's the problem with this mindset. Okay, goes, Dr. Sophie says that while Britney might have hated her old conservatorship, it was at least a stable presence in her life, and he doesn't see that in her right now in her current state. Okay, nobody cares. Was she happy? It doesn't appear like it. Like, nobody cares about that. It's like, we are going to tell you what to do. We're going to do whatever, against your will. And are you happy? Like, no, we want you to live a miserable fucking life, and you have no control of yourself, and we're going to do all this shit. So, yes, and I'm saying it's just lazy to not tackle this in a different approach as opposed to how they've been. And in fact, this topic came up even with Eugenia Cooney, because while she has some major issues, and the only way you could have really stopped that was like they tried to 5150 her, right? And then as you see what happened, though, like I was kind of learning about this, like maybe that wasn't actually the best approach, even though something bad could happen. Because what it did was she's traumatized by that experience, and now she won't get help, or whatever the case is right there. I'm like, I don't think that was the best thing to do, maybe, because even though we think it's the best thing to do, that probably is not the smartest thing to do, because now they just disregard all of it. It's not a thing where you could sit there and go, you want to do that again? Because I have this perception now. It's like, this thing was so bad and traumatizing, I'm not going to do it. People are people, and the more you talk to them on a level, you could that it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work to go there to try to get somebody to go, you know what, I really care about myself, and maybe something is a little off and we need to do something with it, and I'm not here to harm you, you know, this thing and that thing. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I think these approaches are terrible. I think it's just historically terrible. And it's just a matter of rethinking approaches to these things. Anything that's not like a rapist would do.